episode 450 of the Soul Not For Sale podcast. It's Joe Rogan, it's Theo Von, and they're having a serious conversation. Again, I've said this before in past videos with Theo Von. He's a slapstick comedian. He's hilarious. He tells surreal, funny stories that are goofy and just wild. But in the past few years, he's been getting more and more serious, not in his stand-up, but when just as a man, just talking as a man. And this is one of those clips. They're talking about, I believe it's the Sacrum family, these people who got off of a really big lawsuit with some pharmaceuticals that injured some people. They paid a bunch of money, like a few $1 billion, and they just got off scot-free, this family. A lot of people got hurt, and they made a bunch of money. So the $1 billion that they paid as like fines really didn't even damage their bottom line, which was just money. They're talking about that, and then from that part of the conversation, it turns into a conversation just about how easy it is to get things like oxys and different prescription drugs, not just like in the black market, but like actually prescribed by your doctor. How easy that is, and how often we take that path rather than kind of just, getting through it when it comes to like a pain medication or a small procedure. And Joe Rogan gives his example, and then Theo starts to talk about it. Very interesting conversation, especially as Theo is pulling from both sides of this conversation, because he is someone who uses medication for his own mental troubles, but also could see where, but also has been an addict himself. So he's been an addict, of like black market drugs, but then also knows that prescription drugs are something that he needs in his life. So it's the perspective he has is very interesting. Let's get into that. Before I do, I got to bring you to the store. We're already sitting on the Great Resist shirt. I don't know if you've seen this. One of the newer collections that we have. You've heard of the Great Reset. Well, don't join it. Join the Great Resist instead. It's much better. Crickets do not come with this shirt. You get to eat steak with this shirt. You get to eat steak and drink milk and have a gas stove and drive a car that runs on gas. Hallelujah. And our newest collection is the Soul Not For Sale shirt with the American flag atop of it, the red, white, and blue, the stars, and the stripes. And if you want to get that shirt, you go to catalog. You can see all the catalogs we have here, from the anti-WEF to the America Soul Not For Sale collection. I'll take you there, the newest collection. We have tank tops for men and women, t-shirts for men and women, and hoodies for anybody who's feeling a little chilly. That website is IamCoachColin.com. And if you want 10% off the site, I got you. All you got to do is put in I am Coach Colin, all capital letters, all one word, one L on the Colin, gets you 10% off. Now let's get into this clip real quick. There it is. Let's go.
I'd like to eat that person.
Well, nature's fucking probably getting pissed after all the shit that has been happening to Mother Nature. That she's going to send animals. She's going to send weather. She's going to send storms. She's going to send snow to try to kill that guy. I believe that Mother Nature's going to have a play in all of this.
Why does Mother Nature go after the Sackler family?
Hopefully she'll get to him.
How would she get to him, you think?
I don't know. I fucking hate those people so much, though.
Yeah, it's evil.
I mean, it's evil, man.
And they're just balling, just eating caviar, driving around Rolls Royces.
But they don't have any feelings.
Well, I think what happens with people when they're a part of something really big, it's called a diffusion of responsibility, because there's so many people there. They say that if you're in a crowded area and someone gets jumped by someone's beating that person up, you feel less likely. You feel like you don't have anything to do with it. You don't have to intervene. Because there's so many other people there, they're not going to do it. If you're not going to do it, they're not going to do it. It's a diffusion of responsibility. So many people. But if it was just you and another person, that person was getting attacked, and they're like, help me, you would feel compelled to help because it's only you. And I think when you're a part of an enormous corporation that has thousands of employees that's doing evil shit like the Sackler family, I think you just think you're a part of a thing, and you think you could probably dismiss it by saying, well, for most people, this provides them the needed relief from pain, and if used correctly, there's not an issue. But it's an incredibly dangerous drug, and it's an incredibly dangerous drug that's given out far too frequently, far too easily. And I know this from my own personal experience. I had my nose fixed, had a deviated septum, and the guy fixed my nose, and he wakes me up, after after you go under. And I have these things stuffed in my nose, my nostrils stuffed up. And he offers me 2 different painkillers.
Oh, dang.
He writes me prescriptions for 2 different painkillers. I'm like, well, how painful is this going to get? And he goes, well, a lot of people find it very painful and a lot of discomfort, and this will help you. And I go, but is it going to get more uncomfortable than right now? And he's like, well, how do you feel right now? I go, I feel fine. Like, it's not even hurt. And I'm like, okay. He goes, well, I really think you should fill these. Because otherwise, if you need it, you're not going to have anything. You're going to be miserable. I'm like, okay. So I didn't. And I went home and I waited. And I'm like, I don't feel bad at all. Like, I feel fine. And after a certain amount of time, you take the things out of your nose. Mm-hmm. And they had stuck these plastic splints in my nose.
Oh, yeah.
And they remove all that stuff. And I never took anything. And I never felt pain. But this guy had given me this stuff. And he gave me 2 different ones. And he was a really good doctor. It's not like he was a fucking quack. If I decided to just start popping them, I'd be like, hey, man, I need it. I got an operation. I need it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I
bought a Corvette.
Yeah, there was nothing wrong with me. Like, I was fine. Like, after the operation, after I woke up from the anesthesia, I mean, didn't feel great, but it wasn't like I'm in agony.
Yeah.
So they're just giving me oxycodone.
Yeah.
And I'm not even hurt. It's not like, I need something. Give me something for the pain. I'm like, I'm in agony. He was like, how do you feel? I go, I feel pretty good. Like, I wasn't being a tough guy. I was like, there's nothing here.
Yeah.
It's like a mild discomfort, and most of the discomfort was because my nose was stuffed with these sponges.
Yeah.
And tubes. They give you like plastic straws that poke out of the bottom of your nose, and it's dripping down onto the upper lip.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah. But it wasn't that bad. It was barely a problem.
Yeah, well, look, I think they just give them out. And people now are so used to we're really comfortable just taking whatever's going to make us check out for a minute.
Yes. That's the reality,
That's
right?
the reality.
That's the reality.
And that's what you have guys like Ryan Holiday. Did he come on here? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where you have guys that talk a lot about like that moment where you choose between what's comfortable or what is easy, and this other like more long-term thing. What is the long-term? And we've just gotten very used to taking that easy thing.
Yes.
And it's some of that is also just us getting acclimated to technology and advancements, and a lot of those things are good for us, and so we're used to that, Well,
a lot of people have a really hard time delaying gratitude.
Yeah.
Which is why they overeat, which is why they don't exercise, which is why they take pills. They want it now.
Jerking off even.
Yeah?
The number one.
Is that your number one?
I mean, it has definitely for my 20s.
Do you try not to look at porn?
Yeah.
How's that go?
I mean, it's gone better. If I'm real honest with you.
Being real honest.
I'll say this, though. I do believe, and there's probably a lot of men, that if you lay on your back and masturbate, have you done...
What? Oh, my God. I wasn't supposed to let the clip run that long. Jesus, what is wrong with Theo? But you see how he's just, oh man, I love it. He's just able to get serious, and then he just switches right back over to just crazy. But they're right. They're right about how quickly doctors will give you certain things that could be detrimental to your health. I mean, that's what happened with Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson needed he was hurting a lot. He's going through a lot. His wife was dying, and the doctor was like, hey, take these. And he trusted the doctor like so many people do. And he kept taking them, and he kept taking them. He didn't realize what an addiction he was developing because he just trusted the doctor. You don't think the doctor is going to get you hooked on anything that could be, fatal to get off of. You don't think that's going to happen. You don't think a doctor's going to do that. You think the doctor's just doing what's right. It's sad. And then Jordan Peterson went through that. He almost died. How many people go through things like that? I've known guys who went off and served the country and got shrapnel in their back or in certain places and just had aches, and just early. I remember this was early. This was early 2000s when people didn't even know how bad these things were. And guys just got addicted, and they were like, geez, like, I don't know. Like, it wrecked them. It wrecked them for years. And because they served and they've gone through such rigorous training and they have so much discipline, those guys were able to bounce back. But a regular person who doesn't have any of that training, who doesn't have that type of resolve, who knows what happens to them? It's sad. It's really sad. But I like what they were talking about, because I think there's a macro. I think there's a micro and a macro. I think the micro is, people taking the easy route in terms of what's given to them, what's prescribed to them. You might feel a little pain, but here's a much easier way to deal with it. And then they go with that easy path. I think the macro of that is society, and all of society going with a certain thing that will just be easier. I always touch on like World Economic Forum or any kind of totalitarian government type of thing, organization. They talk about how the world is heading towards calamity, heading towards apocalypse, and there's nothing that you can do. And the easiest thing, it's either you're going to go through this very hard time, or the easy solution. It's almost like, that when that doctor prescribes something to you. The easier version is just give us all the power and we'll handle it. And you won't even have to do anything. You just have to give up these rights and these freedoms and these safeties. You just got to give all of that to it, or these privacies. Just give all that to us. We'll handle it. We'll sort it all out. And we'll make sure that the planet doesn't explode. Because it's either you go through something really hard, or you can just go through this really easy path. And so many times as society, we've gone through the easy path. We've chosen the easy path. We've seen the hard path throughout the world. I mean, Egypt overthrew their government, I think, twice. That's a really hard path to go down, especially when you have to do it twice. That means you messed up once. You had the largest gathering of people in the world, 33 or 34 million people gather, and you get something extraordinary done, and then you figure out it was the wrong thing and you got to do it again. That's the hard path. The easy path is just like, well, as long as I'm able to talk about how I know what they're doing to us, and I know about all the things, and I'm awake. I'm not woke, but I'm awake. And then, as long as I'm allowed to say all that, express it to my friends, say it online a little bit, it's fine. But they're still going to do it. It's fine if they still do it, as long as I just get to say it. Like, that's like taking the easy path, right? The hard path is like, well, I'm marching down to the local government and I'm going to forge a relationship with, my MP or my city councilor. I'm going to go to all the meetings. I'm going to really stand up for things. I'm going to even work my way into local government myself. I'm going to make sure anybody who I vote for and my community votes for is going to have no link to the World Economic Forum. And in fact, we won't vote them into power unless they denounce the World Economic Forum. And I got to rally my community, and I have to meet all the time, and I have to make sure we're all on the same page, and I have to educate people, and we have to push to that level. And then when we get that local government, we have to push even harder, and I have to stay in touch with the local government. I have to make sure. Who's already exhausted with everything I just said? It's exhausting. That's the hard way. The easy way, the painkiller way, is just like, I'll say it a little bit on social media, I'll get this little hit of dopamine, and then we can just move on from there. It's weird. I really do think there's a macro version of that doctor just giving you that pill or that easy way out. I think there's society's been choosing a lot of easy way outs as well. And it doesn't just stop with what I just mentioned. It goes with health and food and everything, because the uncomfortable way takes so long, and it takes so much work and so much dedication. Just like in the scenario that Joe said, he had to just go through pain. There's a lot of pain that he just had to go through, but eventually he got through it. I don't know. It's just a very interesting thing to think about, the easy way out that we all take. And I'm guilty of that too. I take the easy way out too. I mean, some people might be like, no, you got a channel and you do this, but it's like, I could do way more. I could. I really could. I could just dedicate my life. But it's hard. It's hard. Where are you choosing the easy way out? Where are you choosing the easy way out? Don't tell me about the people who you know who are choosing the easy way out. Self-examine yourself. Because, talking about that microcosm to that macrocosm, if you figure out the microcosm of yourself, it's easier to tackle if you figure out the microcosm within yourself, it's easier to tackle that macrocosm that's out in the world. I think. Like the video, it helps so much, you have no idea. Boosts us out of the shadow realm. We can't stay here forever. We must climb out of the shadow realm. I need sunlight. I can't be in the dark for so long. Although that's where mushrooms grow. That's why I have mushrooms all over me, because I'm in the dark all the time. Like the video, helps so much. That was episode 450, Soul Not For Sale podcast. Other than that, I am out.